Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Saturday, March 1st. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Texas game in 182 days, the game against Michigan in 273 days. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. Today is a day I've been looking forward to for quite a while, and it's actually going to be a very big day in Columbus sports. Stadium Series has come to Columbus. The Columbus Blue Jackets and Detroit Red Wings facing off in Ohio Stadium. Puck drops at 6. We're going to have coverage all afternoon at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle and BuckeyeHuddle.com. That should be a really fun day in the Horseshoe. 90,000 fans expected for that one. One of the biggest games in NHL history happening right here in Columbus. If you don't have tickets, weather looks like it's going to be pretty decent. So tickets are still available. You can check that out. We will have coverage again all day. BuckeyeHuddle.com, youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. Another thing that's wrapping up today is the NFL Combine. Tony, Kevin, and Mark have been in Indianapolis all week. We've had all sorts of coverage for you at BuckeyeHuddle.com and youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. On Friday, Ohio State quarterback Will Howard got a chance to meet with the media. There were interviews with all sorts of guys. Will Howard had a lot of interesting things to say. So honestly, today, you're just going to get to hear a whole bunch of stuff from Will Howard. He had interesting stuff to say about last year's national championship, the guys coming up next, what he learned during his year at Ohio State, and much more. So how about this first one? What about the chance to potentially reunite with offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, who is now at the Las Vegas Raiders?
That'd be awesome, man. And, seeing that, that move from Coach Kelly, I'm so happy for him. And he's one of the best coaches I've had, man, and one of my favorite people I've been around. We've stayed in contact, and I hope it'd be amazing to get the opportunity to play for him again. Really, anyone. I'd be happy to go anywhere, man. But he's a great dude, and I'm just so happy that he got the opportunity that he did, and I think that's a really good place.
Just a little over 12 months ago, Will Howard was the quarterback at Kansas State, and he had the opportunity to turn pro. He thought about it and ended up deciding no, he was going to go hit the transfer portal and see where he ended up and give himself another year to sort of learn and develop as a college player before he entered the NFL draft. Well, I think that worked out pretty darn well for him after transferring to Ohio State. How different does Will Howard feel now after just one season with the Buckeyes?
I feel a ton more prepared, for sure. Like, without a doubt, I am, this year at Ohio State, I wanted it to be a step up. And I talked about, the two things that I was looking for in a school were developing as a prospect and developing, my draft stock and competing for a national championship. One of those boxes checked. And, now going into this process, the things that we went through this year, what I learned, going into a new locker room, having to win over a locker room, all those different things really, truly taught me so much, and I feel really well prepared. I think my consistency definitely improved. Being able to, up my completion percentage from 59 or whatever it was in my career at K-State to, 73 this year. I think, I was more accurate. I think I was able to show more arm strength. I definitely probably didn't run the ball as much as I, normally did at Kansas State this past year, but really didn't need to. We had some dudes, back there to carry the load for me. But I feel like I just developed in every aspect of my game, and it was just a blessing to come to Ohio State, man. It was the best decision I ever made.
Now that Will Howard is gone, Julian Sayin, Lincoln Kienholz, and maybe Tavian St. Clair are up next in that quarterback room for the Buckeyes. So what did Will Howard see from those guys, and what is he sort of expecting this year?
Yeah, man, I think, we just had a great vibe in that room, and we had a lot of fun together. And I'm excited for them to, kind of take over and be the guys going forward because, Julian coming in, he's a little soft-spoken guy. He's quiet, but, now it's his time. Now it's Lincoln and Tavian and those guys, and I'm excited for them, man. I hope that I could have had, a little bit of an impact on them, and, gave some of the things that I've learned from some of the guys that were, above me when I was at Kansas State, like Adrian and Skyler, and some of the guys that I learned from there. I hope I could have left some nuggets with them and showed them, at the very least, how to treat people and, how to how to work hard and, all those different things. And I mean, I'm rooting for those guys, man. I'm pulling for them. We still stay in contact. So I'm going to be pulling for the Buckeyes big time next year.
Here's a loaded question. Are there any NFL receivers that Will Howard would really like to play with?
I mean, they're all unbelievable. I of course, being the Ohio State guy, I'd love to throw to like Garrett and Chris and JSN and Marv. But I mean, you could go down the line. I mean, I've always really loved Devontae Adams' game. I thought his game was really awesome. I think the two LSU guys with Jamar and Justin are unbelievable. You go down the list. I mean, there's a ton. I couldn't pick one.
When Will Howard is looking at NFL quarterbacks, maybe watching quarterbacks to learn something, who are some of the top quarterbacks he likes to watch?
I got to say Patrick Mahomes, because he's a dog. Josh Allen. I love watching Josh. I think he's obviously deserving of the MVP award and did a great job. But I think that third guy, I'd probably have to say Lamar. I just love watching Lamar play. He's developed a lot as a quarterback, and I think a lot of people were saying he was just a running back coming into it, man. But like he truly has turned into an elite thrower, and I think that's a cool part. And those three guys, I love watching those three guys.
There was a bunch that was sort of new for Will Howard over the last year. One of those things was a playoff run to the national championship. So what did Will Howard learn during that last month or so as the Buckeyes made that run to the national title?
Shoot, what didn't I learn, man? I learned a lot from this past year, but you're never out of it, man. And it felt like the world was caving in on us after that last game of the year, and a lot of people wanted to say that, but we still had to cling to hope that that we could still win a national championship, and we did that. We banded together and said, no matter what, no matter how hard this feels right now, no matter what adversity we go through, we got to stick together. And I think the power of team and the power of God and the power of belief, man, like was shown throughout that whole playoff run, and we were able to really just impose our will on some teams.
It's kind of funny to listen to players talk about their NFL draft stock now, because that's always very hush-hush and no one wants to talk about it while they're a college player. But how much did that playoff run maybe change Will Howard's draft stock?
Yeah, I think that was huge for me. A lot of people were telling me, different things about where my draft stock was after the year, and wasn't really sure going into the playoffs. But they said, hey, you could really help yourself out if you have a strong showing in the playoffs. So, I said, all right, deal. Let's see how this thing goes, and try and put my best foot forward. And I think, the thing that is important about that is, I played my best ball when the lights were the brightest. And I think I proved to people that, I am best when, the pressure's on. And, when the playoffs came along, like, I think that was one of the best things. And, I was able to really just let it rip, man. And I was just being confident. I was, throwing the deep ball well. I was being accurate. I mean, being able to go 13 for 13 to start the national championship was, one of the better starts I've had to a game. So, I think, I learned a lot, and I was able to push myself and able to show teams that, hopefully I can be that face of the franchise, and I can be a starting quarterback in the NFL for a long time.
Here's one of these questions that get asked, and you're like, oh, he's not going to answer that one, and he didn't. But he did have some interesting things to say here about his own game. So where does Will Howard think he stacks up in this NFL draft class?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's unbelievable quarterback talent in this whole draft class. I'm not going to talk about anybody else, man, but I believe in myself, and I think I can be that guy for a team, and I truly believe that. I think I showed it as the season went on this year. It's not always going to be perfect, and I think I was able to show through the times of adversity and bouncing back from that I was able to, not let things get to me, and I was able to make elite throws and make decisions when the lights were the brightest. And I think, I just hope that there's a team out there that falls in love with me, and I still have that chip on my shoulder, man. I'm always going to have that. I love being kind of the underdog and kind of coming from behind, and I think that's where I thrive and where I want to be.
One of the longest and most detailed answers that Howard gave was to this next question. It's about new Ohio State quarterbacks coach Billy Fessler. He was in a lower level, but still working with the quarterbacks for the Buckeyes last year. What was it like to work with Billy Fessler, and what did he learn?
Billy, man, my dog. Like, I'm so happy for him, and I was if Coach Day didn't hire him as the quarterback coach, I would have had a problem with it. But man, he taught me so much this year. He was integral to my development, and he is absolutely, without a doubt, 100% the best man for that job. And I think he's going to be great for that room. He brings a human element to it where he's not that much older than us, so he's able to relate to us on, kind of a, guy-to-guy level, but he's also, able to lock in, and like he taught me more than a lot of, guys in that role ever could have. And, he really was kind of the mouthpiece from Coach Day to me, Coach Kelly to me at a lot of times if they were doing anything else. Like, he was really like my personal one-on-one QB coach at times, and he was great, man. And I got all the praise in the world for that dude. He helped me so much. The things that we did on Thursdays, going on our walks, talking about every play in the game plan. What is each pass play? What's it best against? What's it good against? What do we have to manage it against? I felt so prepared going into every single game, and a big part of that was because of Billy.
There's a lot of intrigue around the young quarterbacks that are going to be potentially replacing Will Howard this year. But Will Howard, he's seen more of them than just about anyone else. So what did he see out of Julian Sayin during Sayin's true freshman season?
Julian's one of the most accurate quarterbacks I've been around. And the ball just looks so pretty coming out of his hand. Like, it spins like prettier than I've seen a lot of balls come out of quarterbacks' hands. And he, he's got a real chance to be elite, man. I'm excited for him. He definitely is stepping into that leadership position, and I'm excited for him to take on that new role. And he was a little soft-spoken at first, but now, like, this is his sophomore year, man. I'm excited for him to take that step, really be that leader for the team. And I mean, the talent is there, man, and he's put on some weight. He's done good things, and I think I'm just excited for him.
When you have a young quarterback like Sayin or Lincoln Kienholz or Tavian St. Clair or anyone else developing as a leader, is that something that you can learn? Is that something that's just in you? How does that process work?
I think it's a little bit of both, man. That's a really good question. I think some of that is innately in you, and I think me personally, I'm an outgoing guy. I like to keep things light, crack jokes, whatever. And part of that is just in you. But the thing is I wasn't perfect when I got to K-State. Like, I was maybe a little different in how I approached things, and I learned a lot from the people in front of me, man. I learned a lot from my coaches at K-State, my parents, the people in front of me at K-State, just looking at other guys, at the college and NFL levels, trying to emulate their games and emulate their leadership styles. I think a lot of that, I learned, but some of it is innately in you. I think it's a little bit of a balance of both.
All right, this next one, I'm going to be honest, I couldn't actually make out the question. There was a ton of background noise, so I kind of got the gist of it. But it was something like how he does breaking down film, like how he does on the chalkboard. And honestly, I am just including this question because it's really interesting to hear him talk about the first touchdown from the national title game.
I think you could look at a lot of different things. You turn on the film, and I think I could talk through pretty much any play. You want to bring up a play, I'll tell you, why I did what I did, what the read was, what the play call was, what the protection was. I know pretty much all that stuff. Like looking out there in the national championship game, like on that first touchdown. We went, and did the little ghost motion with JJ, and we had the Y come in motion before the play. A lot of people don't even notice that. He came in motion to kind of give a man zone indicator. I could tell they were communicating. They were in man. And, I knew that if I got my eyes back on that guy that was man on Jeremiah and found him where he was at, then the answers to the test were right there. And obviously he was like on the other side of the field because he thought he was running around. I don't blame him. He had to beat him over the top. But, there's examples of that everywhere. I think that's one of the best parts of my game. I believe I'm an elite processor. I can recall things like nothing.
There's been all sorts of talk about how the loss to Michigan was this big turning point for the season, and how the team meeting and how the team sort of got together and really sort of redoubled their efforts to make that run to the national title following that loss to Michigan. What does it say about a head coach like Ryan Day that he let the team sit down, have a players-only meeting, and sort of hash things out as a group after that Michigan game?
Yeah, man, he's a players coach, and a lot of that was, it was him, but it was also us. And it was, the leaders and the group of guys in the locker room that were able to kind of sit down and say, man, like, we still have something to play for. And, we had a leadership meeting before we even had that players meeting, and we kind of got together and we're like, how are we going to attack this? And I think, the quality of people in that room is a big reason why we did what we did. And, there could have been a tough reaction to that. I mean, people were called out. People were, we hashed things out, man. It was the best thing for us because we have mature people in that room that were able to take criticism, to give it out, and to understand what we needed to do to go on that run and win a national championship. And we did what we had to do.
And finally, this is probably not someone you're expecting to hear Will Howard talk about, but all right, let's talk about safety Jalen McLean. He was with the Twos most of last year, but has a chance to win that starting job opposite Caleb Downs at the safety position this year with Lathan Ransom off to the NFL. So what was it like going up against Jalen McLean in practice?
Jalen's a dude, man. He was my 18 partner, man, and I honestly didn't go against him much on the scout team. He was on the second team most of the year, but we would go against him, in fall camp and stuff. And he's instinctive, man. And when you're a safety, you kind of have to be a ball hawk a little bit. He had great ball skills. I remember him going and picking a ball off on the other side of the field when he was on the other hash. I was like, man, I thought I could get away with that throw. He's a true freshman, and he's going to be special, man. He flies around, he likes to hit stuff, and he's an instinctive and a ball hawk for sure.
All right, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to miss having Will Howard around the Ohio State football program. Lots of really interesting, thoughtful answers from him. Between him and Denzel Burke, oh man, there's some great interview skills headed off to the NFL. But we'll have plenty more interesting guys to talk about this year with the Buckeyes team. And we'll have plenty of interesting stuff to talk about today as well. NFL Combine wrapping up. So our 3 guys in Indianapolis will be headed home soon. And of course, the Stadium Series game at Ohio Stadium, Columbus Blue Jackets, Detroit Red Wings. Man, it's going to be a busy and very exciting day. We hope to spend it with you at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That's where Tony, Kevin, and I cover the team. Mark covers recruiting. We got our whole team of X's and O's gurus there as well to make you a smarter football fan. All at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We hope to see you there. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.